what's going on inside this massive world of cryptocurrency. So I've never trusted the dollar. I started off as a silver guy, then gold, and now I have Bitcoin, but I just don't trust my government. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make a difference if Trump was in or Biden was in. We're still getting screwed. And what's happening to, in my opinion, the income inequality is very simply that you have one thing going on is technology. Technology is wiping out jobs all over the place. And it's going to increase artificial intelligence and all that. Like my friends who are accountants and lawyers and doctors, they say pretty soon we don't need as many of us because the blockchain can handle a lot of that. So this idea of job security for life and, you can stay with a company forever is kind of obsolete thinking. And then the second problem, so one is artificial, one is technology, but second is corruption of the U.S. dollar. And they just keep, instead of solving the problem, they just keep printing more of it. So the debt just keeps going up. But it makes it harder and harder for the guy literally in the street today to survive because they don't have the job skills. They don't have the skills and all this to earn the income that'll get them off the streets. And so it's more than systemic. This is global transformation right in front of us.
We didn't actually expect, from a valuation model, how do you value Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies? We didn't expect the pandemic to create, even a third stimulus coming, right? So what's happening is there's so much money being printed that there's a lot of excess money as well. And that excess money does go back to the stock market. It does go back to other investments here. So what we're seeing now is like with low interest rates, you see like the stock market at all-time highs. You see cryptocurrencies at all-time highs. You see real estate like the fastest buying growth in 6 years, right? So what's happening with crypto is like there's nowhere else to invest money right now. But within subsets of crypto, there are ecosystems that are still, I wouldn't say undervalued. I'd say like superheated, but there's still yield coming from these ecosystems that are being built on cryptocurrencies right now. And that's what like kind of our research and our kind of predictions are heading towards in the cryptocurrency area.
But the question is, where do you put your money? I started off years ago saying cash is trash, and it is becoming trash. The more that artificial intelligence and technology makes things more efficient, prices should keep coming down, but the Fed keeps pumping it up. And so we have the guys in the middle, the people that, lesson number one in Rich Dad Poor Dad is rich don't work for money. Because the moment you do that, you're screwed. So it's coming true right now. It really deeply concerns me, especially now that I'm going, oh my God, what I was saying 25 years ago is coming true today. And so that's why people have got to understand what goes on in your head, because that's the future now. The future of money lies in my opinion, crypto or Bitcoin and blockchain.
Let's start with Bitcoin. Just a quick summary to like first-time listeners. Bitcoin is a decentralized ledger. You can think of like an Excel sheet that nobody actually owns, but everybody that has like a cell, you can control the money coming out only, and you can receive money. What's also interesting about Bitcoin is it's like very, not fixed supply, very, very deflationary though. As more Bitcoins are minted, it gets less and less inflation. And I think it stops around 21 million Bitcoin. And it's not pegged against anything, right? Bitcoin is itself. It's not pegged to any world currency. And as a result, if you have like US dollar getting printed as like crazy, Bitcoin actually is inversely correlated. So basically as a dollar value goes down, Bitcoin actually goes up. And what we're seeing right now is like hundreds of billions of dollars being acquired by financial institutions. Grayscale being a very prominent one. They own $20 billion of Bitcoin right now. A lot of other funds are buying in the $100 million increments. But what's happening is there's like not much supply left of Bitcoin actually. And it's causing like an overcorrection of the kind of hedge against the dollar thesis. I think everyone agrees that it is a hedge against the dollar, but at some point it might be overcorrecting it. And then as the vaccines roll out and the dollar gets stronger, that thesis is going to get turned around, right? So that's at least my view on Bitcoin. And again, like if we have a third stimulus, we probably haven't even seen the top yet. Third stimulus would again further devalue the dollar and further give Bitcoin that hedge up. So like even the $50,000 range that you predicted a while ago, which I thought was a little bit high, even the $50,000 range of Bitcoin is like not out of the question at all right now.
I'm not judging Bitcoin. I'm judging the stupidity of our government. And when I'm being a real estate guy, when I look at how much debt is going to default, and the question is, when all those office buildings around San Francisco can't pay their rent, who's going to bail them out? That's why I put my 50,000 bet. It was a bet against the economy. It wasn't a bet on Bitcoin. And I'm betting they're going to print. I mean, if they don't print, we're screwed anyway.
What's going on with Ethereum, though? Because I think this is pretty crazy. So just another summary for everyone else. Ethereum took that decentralized ledger idea. They added a programmable logic on top of that, so people can actually develop code on blockchain. So what you have is like decentralized code as well as currency, and people use the first use case is always currency, because that's like the most you can like take financial applications and put value on it and then transfer it over the chain. But Ethereum in 2018 came up with the ICO concept. You can mint new tokens on top of Ethereum, and that became a huge fundraising vehicle in 2018, which ultimately resulted in a big bubble pop because there was not much utility. There was actually not much adoption coming from that. 2020 though has changed everything. By the way, just to give a reference, Ethereum is up 700% since last year, and Bitcoin is up 300% since last year. So that's just kind of reference of what's going on with the kind of divergence of Bitcoin and Ethereum. But by the way, Bitcoin and Ethereum always very tightly coupled.
People say, what are you doing? I said, well, just buy it all. I have gold, silver, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Like I said, I'm just betting against my government. That's all I'm doing, the stupidity of them.
So if you want to bet against the government, it's Bitcoin. If you want to invest in the technology, it is Ethereum. But there are a lot of projects within Ethereum that I think are very, very promising as well.
So Ethereum has some use to it. That's what you're saying.
Yes. There was a lot of ideas, a lot of technology, scaling. All those ideas came out in 2018 and 2019. The first thing that really got adopted was in 2020, and that was called the decentralized exchange. But a couple projects made use of a concept called automated market making. And basically what that means is you can deposit money in pools, and then people can trade out of those pools. So at any moment in time, I can just go on, use my wallet that has any number of tokens and swap it with other tokens. And there's always liquidity. And that concept in 2020 exploded. It got to the point where there's more volume on decentralized exchanges than centralized exchanges. So that was 2020 was like the year of DeFi, decentralized exchanges. 2021 is going to have a whole new sort of a whole new set of services that we can talk about as well. With blockchain, you can represent stocks on blockchain and trade it without and you always have liquidity.
So are you saying E-Trade, those guys are toast?
It's trending that way. Centralized exchange volume is starting to rival the decentralized exchange volume in the crypto space for now.
Wow. So going old school now, what happens to stocks then?
I think stocks will always exist because they have like fundamentals behind it. They have like actual equity and ownership behind it. What's happening in 2021 is a concept called synthetics. So real life assets are being represented on tokens, whether that's gold, whether that's the US dollar, or whether it's even like Apple or Tesla stock. That's all being represented on blockchain through different means of and I don't want to get too complicated, right. But different means of like price feeds and staking and collateralization. So basically you can take all these assets, you make them secure, and then you make them tradable on decentralized exchanges. Right. And that means anybody with a wallet can trade these assets. And they can trade at any time. They don't have to log into anything. As long as they have the wallet, they can trade.
So the way I understand blockchain, which doesn't work in the old world of real estate, gold, silver, and all that, was you never knew what those guys were doing with it. There was no transparency in the Fed or Wall Street. And so what blockchain does is it's a decentralized system, right? And everybody's a part of it. It's not like the Fed is in charge of it.
Exactly.
I don't save dollars because I don't trust the US dollar. And I just save gold and silver and recently Bitcoin. And the reason is because of 1971, when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, the dollar became fake. So now that COVID has hit and they printed more money in 2020 than they did in the first 200 years of our country. And still people are saving dollars. You should be buying some gold, some silver, and you can afford it, Bitcoin. Silver today is a bargain. I mean, today is around November 15th, I think, or whatever it is. And I can buy a silver eagle for about 30 bucks. And everybody in the world can afford 30 bucks. But the average person has been conditioned to think about paper, fake money, fake dollars. At the same time, they're printing as much money as they possibly can. They give it to their rich friends. They don't give it to us. And then they print it, and interest rates keep going down. So in 1974, when I got out of the Marine Corps, if I had $1 million, which I didn't, I could put $1 million in 74 into a savings and loan, a bank, in a certificate of deposit, and they would pay me 15% on my $1 million. So a lot of people made a lot of money. They just put their money into the bank, and they're being paid 15% interest. So $1 million back in 74 was worth approximately $150,000. Now it's not a lot of money to retire on, but you could have retired on $150,000 in 1974. Today, I take $1 million into the bank, I might get 2%. So that means it went from $150,000 to $20,000. And after taxes, that $20,000 might be worth $15,000. In other words, since 1974, the US dollar has lost 90% of its value, and people still say to their kids, save money. You've got to be crazy. They're going to, now that the elections are over and all this, I don't care if it's Trump or Biden, they're going to have to print so much money just to pay for all of the social entitlement programs so people don't riot. They can't afford to have any more rioting. So they're going to print more and more money, and people are still saving dollars or yen or euro or pesos. Right now, you should be saving gold, silver, or Bitcoin. And the thing is in the year 2000, I started buying gold at $250 an ounce. And today it's worth 10 times that much, approximately. So I'm very happy with my gold. And silver was like $2 or $3 or something, and now it's worth 30. And the Bitcoin I bought, thank God I was buying it at 9,000. And today it's worth over $1 million. But the reason for that has nothing to do with gold, silver, or Bitcoin. It has to do with the incompetence of the Federal Reserve Bank, or the corruption of the Federal Reserve Bank, the US Treasury, and Wall Street. So I'm not saying Bitcoin, and people get into what I call pissing matches. Which is better, gold or Bitcoin? Who cares? The question is, how much do you have? That's all that counts right now. Because the reason you buy gold, silver, or Bitcoin is for the same reason. If you trust the US government or the central banks, the Fed, and Wall Street, then save money. But if you don't, then buy gold, silver, and Bitcoin. And the thing I like about Bitcoin is that I can run with it. It's just a number in my head. My trouble with my gold and silver, I got so much of it, I have to lug it. It's hard to get it around. So when I started looking into Bitcoin, it was already starting to come up, so I started buying it around 9,000. And today I think it's around 15 or 16,000. I don't know what it is. I don't count that. I just count the number of coins I have. That's it. And I'm buying more. The reason I like gold, silver, and Bitcoin is this. The trouble with the US dollar, the more it drops in value, the more they print. Let me say that again. The US dollar, the yen, the peso, the euro, as it drops in value because interest rates keep dropping, they print more of it, and people save it. Talk about losers. Get it through your head. They're printing it. It's getting worth, it's worth less and less and less. Whereas Bitcoin, the thing I like about it, excuse me, because the more valuable, more expensive Bitcoin gets, they print less of it. It's called a halving. So the price goes up, but the quantity comes down. And check the dollar out. The value of the dollar comes down, but they print more of it. Why would you save it? But it's the same with gold and silver. And the reason I endorse silver is because everybody can afford it. Today it costs you about $30 for a U.S. silver eagle. I'm not saying it's going to make you rich, but if you have 20 million of them, you'll be rich. If you just kept saving silver, the way I kept saving gold, and now I'm saving Bitcoin, you don't have to go to college to save it. Just buy it, hide it. Buy it and hide it. You keep it out of the sight of the U.S. government or your government. The people that bought gold, silver, or Bitcoin, let's say live in Argentina, you're so much richer today than a person who saved pesos. And it's the same as my friend in Australia. If you're saving the Aussie dollar, you're going to be crazy, or the Singapore dollar, or the Canadian dollar. So, how many ounces? What percent should you have? 5%, 10%? The hell with the percentage. Just get as much as you can, because when this COVID thing finally blows over, the problems are still around. Our national debt is so high. We have so many people on entitlement plans. Our pensions are about to go broke. The U.S. government is broke. Our debt to GDP in America today is 130% debt to GDP. At 90% debt to GDP, it's over with. So we went from 90% to 130%. That means we can't pay off our bills. So they're going to have to keep printing more fake US dollars or pesos or yen or euro, whatever you're saving. But right now, if you can get your hands on gold, silver, or Bitcoin, I don't care which one, but it's better than saving fake money.